People are going to do what they do. Whatever. Hey everybody, Jonathan here from Magical Day Media. In case you have not seen the news yet, or you might have and you're coming here to find out, Disney World has announced their reopening dates. Joy of joys, they're opening back up. So a little disclaimer here at the beginning. Number one, this is going to be an apolitical video, just like last time. What I think politically does not matter about this. This is just going to deal with my own apolitical opinions and details that have been released and what is happening so far. So, like I said, some good, some fun news that's coming out today. So we'll go over it. I have some notes here. So if you see me looking down, I'm just making sure that I remember everything I wanted to talk about. So, without further ado, we're jumping in. So first thing, today, the 27th, the Disney-owned stores at Disney Springs opened up today, and so far it seems to be a pretty good success. I've been watching Resort TV 1. I had that on in the background as I was doing other stuff around the house today, and they were there, and they've been doing some shopping at World of Disney, and so far it looks like a pretty good success. Little bit, a little hard to do social distancing when you're in a store. That's kind of a given at this point. That's one of the risks that you will take, going out into the stores and stuff like that. But so far, everybody seems to be adhering to the rules. My phone is thinking I'm asking for some help, or my watch is thinking I'm asking for some help. So far, everybody seems to be obeying the rules. Everybody seems to be wearing their mask. I did actually see one person in a store without a mask on. So I'm going to assume the best that, it fell off or they had a problem with the mask or something like that. But anyway, that's beside the point. What's happening right now in Disney Springs, similar to what happened last week, it is open now for shopping. They are taking temperatures when you gain entrance. They're restricting the entrances that you can go in. So only 2 of the parking garages are open, and then you're only allowed to go in at either of the ends, the extreme ends of Disney Springs. Also, one thing I didn't know about, I learned as I was watching Resort TV 1, is that you have to get a reservation to actually get into the store. And then instead of going and waiting in line, the way they're covering the social distancing is they're doing the virtual queue system, or something similar to the virtual queue system that they used for Rise of the Resistance when that ride opened here last year. So that's interesting, and I think my guess is that's going to be an experiment about how they open the parks back up. Not only for going to the rides and the different experiences in the parks, but also even getting your entrance into the park, because they're going to be operating at lower capacity. But we'll get to that point. So, first off, that's what's going on at Disney Springs today. So, what we know, the announcement indicates that Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, I'm going to hold my notes up here so I don't have to look down so much. Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom will open on July the 11th. Again, that's July the 11th. And I'm sorry, I forgot. Another disclaimer here is that these plans have not officially, or at least news is not out that they've officially been confirmed, reviewed, and approved by both the county and the governor. They still need to be approved by Orange County and by Governor DeSantis there in Florida. So, again, given that it's a press release from Disney, they're either trying to put pressure on them to approve it, or it's already been given a handshake approval kind of thing. So I would take this as this is what's going to happen at this point. Okay, back to the story. So on July the 11th, again, July 11th, both Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom will open. So only 2 parks will open that first day. Then the following week, July the 15th, Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios will open. So again, on the 11th, Animal Kingdom, Magic Kingdom, and on the 15th, Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios. Let's see, they will have the temperature checks that we're used to now. If you're not familiar with that, when you gain access to the park, they will take your temperature with one of the no-touch infrared temperature guns, which sounds like a horrible way to say it, but it looks like a small little gun, but it's an infrared beam that takes your temperature. If anyone in your party registers a temperature of 100.4 degrees or higher, then your group will be taken aside and put in kind of a side building or a side tent, kind of cool down a little bit, give you a chance to kind of cool down. If you've been out in the sun, you get really hot, anything like that. they're going to give you a chance to then have your temperature taken again. If anybody in your party registers 100.4 again, then your group will not be allowed entry into the park. That's my understanding. Now, that could change. Obviously, that's been what's been in place so far. But again, that could change. But that's what we know so far, is that temperature checks will be in place. The second item that we'll need to look for, of course, is those infamous markers. Well, not infamous. I shouldn't say it that way. But those ubiquitous. That's the word I'm looking for. Those ubiquitous markers on the ground to remind us all to keep our social distancing, not to crowd up or get too close to the party in front of you. Also, masks will be a requirement. That's kind of a given now. And of course, something that covers both the nose and the mouth. I know being around here in Dallas, I see some people who get hot and make the choice to just wear it over their mouth and not their nose, which really defeats the purpose of the mask. But masks will be required. There will be lower attendance in the parks. Of course, those numbers have not been released yet, so I'm sure when something more robust is released after approval, official approval is given, those details will be given by the parks. And then there will be teams kind of roving around, answering questions, helping remind people that they do in fact need to wear their masks, that they do need to keep their social distancing, checking to make sure that they're in the right place at the right time. Again, if they do that virtual queue system like they're doing at World of Disney right now in Disney Springs. Different things like that. Anybody to help, of course, along the way. They already have a really good team in place to assist guests while they're in the park. So this will just be an extension of that, and probably beefed up with extra cast members for the time being. So that's what we know right now. So what do we think is going to look like? What are the parks going to feel and look like? Little background, myself, I did have a trip scheduled for, well, I already told you in the last video, I did have a trip scheduled to start on March the 13th, the day the announcement came that they were closing Disney World. We pushed that out. I also had a trip scheduled for July the 29th, and just this weekend made the decision to go ahead and push that out further till after the new year. So, then seeing this announcement today, I'm kind of going crazy inside. But when I think about it and think about, if I want to try and push that and maybe put that trip back on, I think I'm still going to wait till after the new year for a couple reasons. The first is just the practicality of the logistics of operating within the rules. One of the rules that we have in our house is whoever owns the house makes the rules, house rules. I'm sure you all have something similar in your own home. So what I've adopted is Mouse's house, Mouse's rules. And Disney World has a rule that you got to wear a mask. Well, in Dallas, the Dallas area where I live, it gets plenty hot, and wearing a mask is hot. I have been in Disney World in late July, early August, and it's hotter. It's definitely about the same temperature, but the humidity is quite a bit more than it is in the Dallas area. And walking around wearing a mask, well, wearing a mask, while it gives protection and I support doing it, is more than I want to do in the middle of the summer. Plus, anytime you eat, you drink, anytime you take that mask off, you have to handle it properly. So doing that for myself would be hard enough, let alone doing it for my two children who are with me, making sure that they don't touch their face a lot, that they handle their mask properly, that they put it back on properly, that they're not touching the mouth or eyes, all the stuff. Too much to deal with logistically. I think I'm going to wait. It'll be cooler when we go. We're looking at winter time after the first of the year. So it'll be much cooler. Wearing a mask won't be quite the heat beat down that it would be in the summer. Let's see. So that's kind of affecting my decision. And, in the comments, I'd love to hear what you think. Are you ready to go day one? Would you wait? What would that look like for you? Another thing. So for those guests who do decide that they're willing to take the risk, so they're willing to go to the park, great. More power to them. That's awesome. What is the park going to look like? What can you expect? Here, another disclaimer. From here on out, it is my opinion that we're seeing. There's been nothing announced or indicated by the Disney company, by Walt Disney World, about what it's going to look like. This is strictly my opinion. I actually am kind of stealing some of this because it sounds logical. from another YouTuber named Michael K. If you're not familiar with his channel, definitely give him a look. He does a great job. He's very thorough in his opinions and thoughts. And I looked at this and thought about it and did a little research of my own, and I agree with what he's saying for the most part. So here's what I think it's going to look like and feel like when we get back in the parks. Number one, I think the distancing in the stores is going to be tough. I think you will have to wait a long time if you want to go into any stores. And so, again, to help with the distancing, so you got to be ready for that, which means waiting around outside. So again, in the summer, it's going to be hot. In the heat of the day, we always do a lot of shopping in the middle of the day, even if it's just to get out of the heat, just to get into the air conditioning. And while you can stay in the stores, I don't think they're going to limit, I personally don't think they're going to limit time you can spend in the stores. But if you have to wait for a reservation or wait to be called into a store or even wait in line for the store, you're going to be waiting outside a lot longer, not moving around, not in air conditioning. So it's going to be a lot of waiting around in the middle of the day in the heat just to go inside. That's going to be a difficulty you need to face. Another thing we're going to face or experience, again, I think, is limited experiences. We saw that in Shanghai when they opened up, and I think we're going to see it in the U.S. parks too. I think the first two, there's three things I think that are just going to be out the window for the time being, and that is going to be the nighttime shows, the fireworks shows, so Happily Ever After, the ridiculousness that replaced Illuminations at Epcot, which, frankly, is not that big of a loss. That's another story. The Star Wars fireworks show, I just blanked on what the name is, over at Hollywood Studios. And then the Tree of Life Awakening at Animal Kingdom. I think those shows are going to be out because you congregate in a crowd very, very close together to watch those shows. The next thing I think is going to be gone is those daytime parades. Again, people congregating over a long...
I couldn't hear what you said.
There goes the watch again. People congregating over a long period of time, waiting for the show, waiting for the parade to pass by. That's got to be out. Again, just policing that, making sure people are socially distancing. You either issue a reservation for those types of things and then you have to police the reservation, or you just don't do it and just move on with your day. And I think that it'll be far easier for them to just cancel it for a little while and move on with the day. The third thing I think that's going to be out for a little while is going to be the close character interactions. I know a lot of people go, I've even heard of people planning a whole trip that they want to meet and get a picture with as many of the characters as they possibly can. And I think that's going to be on hiatus for a while, simply because you get in close to those characters, you take that picture. I just think that's going to be gone for a while. As far as rides go and other experiences, I think there are a lot of ways that the parks can allow you to distance and still have the full experience with the rides. And again, we see this in Shanghai. I go to that experience and what we've seen there so far. There's a lot of rides and experiences there that will allow you to maybe skip a row. In particular, I think of Pirates of the Caribbean. I think of Splash Mountain. I think of any of the dark rides, such as Haunted Mansion or Peter Pan's Flight. A lot of those rides that don't have like a fabric seat belt that you have to wear, that would have to be cleaned all the time, but an actual like a bar or shoulder harness to come down that's in one piece, that's easy to clean and easy to sanitize, as well as rides where you can skip a row, have somebody in one row or a party in one row and then skip another row so you have the distance, and then fill the next row with somebody else, another group. I think that's how we're going to see things, or how we're going to see things going forward, at least for the time being. So, for example, again, I'm going back to my list. I think that's easiest on roller coasters, again, where there's like a bar or a shoulder harness, something like that in place. Pirates and other boat rides where you don't have a harness in place, but it's easy to skip a row, where you'd have somebody in the front row, not in the second, but in the third row, not in the fourth, somebody in the fifth row, not in the sixth row, where you can keep that distance in between guests. Spaceship Earth is another prime example of that. It's what's called a people eater ride, of something that's constantly moving, that's always going, but it's easy to skip a car or skip a row inside the car. Haunted Mansion does that really well. Peter Pan's Flight you can get 3 people into one of the little cars, so you're not close to other people inside the ride vehicle. Things that I don't think will be opening back up, and again, this goes back to that fabric seatbelt, something that needs to be cleaned or would need to be cleaned every time. Test Track. They don't operate with a bar or harness. They have an actual seatbelt. Soarin', again, while we saw that in Shanghai, you've got that seatbelt. You've got to reach over and fasten up there. What is another one? And look at Galaxy's Edge. I don't think Smuggler's Run is going to open back up because, again, you're in a closed, confined space with 5 other people. Most of it is your own party, but you might have some single riders in there, and you've got that fabric seatbelt you've got to deal with. However, Rise of the Resistance does not have nope, I'm sorry, it does have that. I was mistaken. Rise of the Resistance operates with that seatbelt method, so I think both of those are out too. So even if you went, personally, again, just my opinion, nothing has been stated by any of the company or by the Walt Disney Company at all. I don't think any of the Galaxy's Edge rides are going to be operating because they have those fabric seatbelts that would need to be cleaned. That would be tough to clean. However, you look at a ride like Expedition Everest, because it's a bar that you pull down over your lap. It's easy to clean and easy to skip a row on. I think we'll probably see that ride open. So again, I don't want to bore you. I don't want to go through every ride here in the parks, but I think that kind of gives you an idea of at least what I'm thinking and part of my reasons for pushing my trip. I am super excited. I am so excited that the parks are open. I'm so excited that we have some dates, at least something to look forward to. As park crazy as I am, even just knowing that it's open for some reason, psychologically, is kind of a calming thing to me. So if nothing else, I'm going to sleep a little bit better tonight, even if I know that I'm not going to be there for a little bit longer to share the magic. But if you choose to go during that time, I would love to hear what your plans are. I would love to know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you think it's just going to be easy breezy in the summer? Do you think it's going to be too difficult? Do you want to push your trip? Let me know what you think. Do you think I'm on base? Do you think I'm off base? I'd love to hear what you think and what your opinions are about what the park's going to be like. So please leave a comment. Let's keep the conversation going. I always forget to say this, so please hit that like. It means a lot. I like to know what people think of what I'm putting out there. Definitely hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate that. Hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a video. You can also find me on Instagram. I am at Magical Day Media. And I think that's it for now. So in the meantime, keep watching and keep it magical. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.